Boom! We're live. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We're doing it at the house today because we closed up shop early at the business because we got some crazy weather coming in. Does everybody else have crazy weather coming in? What you doing there? Making a mess?
Mm-hmm.
Super cool. What's going on, y'all? We're jumping on here, give a little bit of time for people to jump on.
If you guys haven't done this, it's heavy cream with a Stevia. I'm doing it with the creamy root beer, and it's delicious, but I'm making a mess.
Yeah, making a big mess. So what are we talking about today? Dairy?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you should cut dairy or not?
As I'm drinking heavy cream with my soda.
As she's drinking heavy cream with her soda. All right, let's talk about dairy. So some people, from a very high level view, some people have sensitivities to dairy and some people do not. Generally speaking, if you don't have sensitivities to dairy, you're fine leaving it in. Some people are under the assumption that you need to cut out dairy when you're doing a cut, trying to maximize body fat loss. Not really the case if you have zero sensitivities to dairy. I keep dairy in throughout my competition prep. I eat a lot of cheese, I eat a lot of heavy cream.
Not a lot, but just like normal person amount.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to phase me in a negative way at all. Does it mess with you?
No. Actually, oddly enough, when I was growing up from ages like 6 or 7 to 16, I had a dairy sensitivity, and I had really, really bad eczema. And like my whole life, I've had really bad eczema. And dairy made it worse. It didn't upset my stomach or anything, but it made me super itchy and like break out and everything. And after age 16, the dairy didn't have as much effect on it, but my eczema went away after I started keto. So it was like anything that was bothering my eczema had to do with something that I cut out when I went keto. So the dairy just made it worse. But it wasn't that I was like specifically allergic to it or sensitive to it. I just like couldn't have it for like 10 or 11 years because it made my eczema worse. But it's never messed with my gut. It's never really bothered me at all. But it can be a bother to some people, and it's a worthwhile. Like if you aren't seeing weight loss or you're seeing a lot of inflammation in your body or something.
Obviously, if you're lactose intolerant, probably don't want to have dairy.
Yeah. But if you don't know if you're sensitive to it, it's not a bad thing to try to cut out. Just like it's not bad to cut out artificial sweeteners and gluten and even sometimes like eggs. Like one of my sisters just found out she's sensitive to eggs after all of these years. She was having a bunch of inflammation, and all of a sudden she was having a sensitivity to eggs. Sometimes you just don't know, so it's not a bad thing to cut it out for a few weeks and then slowly introduce it back to see if maybe that's the cause of your inflammation or your gut issues or whatever you have going on. But it's not the cure-all. There's so many people that are like, immediately cut out dairy. There's not really a reason to cut out dairy. I would say like pay attention to what you're eating. So like pre-shredded cheese has what is it? It's like an like to where it keeps it from sticking together. What is it called?
There's a bunch of different ones. Some of them use maltodextrin.
Yes, but there's a lot of like things that keep it from mixing together and like melting.
Agents.
Yeah, anti-caking agents. Thank you. So we have some dairy that has that. A lot of heavy cream has like, I hope I'm always pronouncing this right, but it's carrageenan, I think.
I say carrageenan.
Carrageenan, whatever it is. That is a terrible, terrible ingredient, and nobody should be eating that. If that is in your food, get a different brand. They also use potato starch. Yeah. But it's terrible in your heavy cream. So if you're not getting heavy cream that literally says heavy cream, then you're getting something else in it, and that may be the thing that's not optimal. The same thing with the shredded cheese. Even like orange cheeses, like cheddars and things, They have dyes in them to make them orange. So it may not be specifically the dairy that's the issue, but the things that they're adding to the dairy. So get quality ingredients, get quality food options, go get a little bit fancier cheese. If that's what you're going to have, get actual butter. Don't just get the stinking junk on the counter, what is it, country crock or whatever it's called.
If you don't know, you can always take a sensitivity test. Obviously, if you're lactose intolerant, you'll probably know, and then you'll want to avoid dairy. But if you don't know and you're trying to refine things, then first and foremost, make sure you're consuming clean sources of dairy. So dairy without all the added filler ingredients. And then if that doesn't work, the next thing I encourage people to do before they eliminate it completely is to switch towards goat-based dairies as opposed to typical cow-based dairies. Like all of your cheeses, things of that nature, kind of go more towards the goat-based route. A lot of people, I think it's an enzyme in the traditional cow-based dairy that a lot of people have an issue with. Not so much the lactose specifically, but that would be something worth trying as well.
Yep.
But if you don't have sensitivity to it, keep it in.
Yeah, one of my friends just found out that she has a sensitivity to dairy as well, and I told her the same thing. Like, try goat or sheep's milk. If that's something that you even want in your diet, if you're gonna miss it, then maybe try to find a better alternative.
All right, Shannon Bailey says, "What's up?" Claire says, "Tried a few of your recipes. They taste good and they're really filling." That's awesome.
Good.
Crystal, you look really good.
Thank you.
Mike says, "Crystal, have you had any food sensitivity tests for dairy?"
Yes, I've had a lot of food sensitivity tests, and dairy does not ever pop up.
Doesn't pop.
The only time it ever did was when I was young, and I had the ones that, like, the skin tests, and dairy showed up on that, and everything else on that showed up on that also made my eczema worse. But I've actually had a food sensitivity done, 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago, and dairy was not on the spectrum whatsoever. Actually, chicken was more of a sensitivity than dairy was.
She eats a lot of chicken. Candace, hi you too. I'm a bit late, but made it to a live for once instead of catching the replay. Well, happy to have you, Candace.
My elbow eczema disappeared on keto.
That's awesome. Nikki says, "I heard it's addicting and inflaming, so I'm scared to try non-fat Greek yogurt for protein. Thoughts?"
It's addicting, and I eat it all the time.
Non-fat?
Oh, I mean, I do whole fat. There's no reason to do non-fat if you're high fat. But I do whole milk, Greek yogurt, or just regular yogurt. It doesn't have to be Greek. I love it.
A lot of the coconut yogurts are really good options too, if you're not sensitive to that, obviously.
If you have an issue with certain types of foods, then maybe it could be addicting, but it's only an inflammation problem if it's inflammatory to your body. So Robert may not be able to eat the same yogurt as I can because his body responds differently than mine does. But we both can eat yogurt. But don't take someone's word for it. Try it out on yourself, because it may be totally different for you.
Potato starch and the shredded cheese. That's what it was. Did you see all the additives they put in cream? Yeah, it's honestly insane what all they put in stuff.
It is. One thing I want to say with the inflammation part, I just had a conversation, or I just had someone ask me that in a comment about carnivore. They asked me what I thought of carnivore, and I said, excuse me. I said it was absolutely amazing. I think carnivore can be super amazing. But for me, in the 3 times that I've tried it, and when I try it very strictly, and it's for at least a month. Every single time, my joints hurt. I felt inflamed. I gained weight every single time. And so I knew that that wasn't for me. But carnivore is so stinking amazing for so many people that I wouldn't say carnivore sucks, you shouldn't do it. Because it's worked really well for a ton of other people. It just didn't work well for me during those times. So that's what I'm saying with the inflammation. Like, who would think just meat would be inflammatory to one person and not the other? But that's the way it is. That's just the way our human bodies work.
Michelle says, "Hey, Crystal and Robert, so glad I caught you live today. I hope you are both doing well. Hope you're doing well as well." Michelle, Kenneth says, love raw goat cheddar. That sounds pretty
Yeah.
good.
Real cheese you can eat less since it's pure. Yeah, it is more filling. It's more rich.
Yeah.
Um,
Love, I just read that one.
Hello from Arizona. Hope everyone is staying safe and warm there.
I have switched my 12-year-old to goat milk from cow milk, and he doesn't know it yet. We are 6 months in. Yeah, I'd say
awesome.
it's working pretty good still.
That's really cool. We really want to get goats and use the milk goat or the goat's milk for milk and for cheese.
I heard a podcast telling everyone that seed oil is fine to consume. It's so weird. There's so many this is honestly one of my frustrations right now in the health and nutrition space. I'm just going to vent a little bit real quick. Anybody can go on any PubMed site and pick and choose any study that supports their argument. You can find a study that says sugar's bad. You can find a study that says sugar's fine. You can find a study that says seed oils are bad. You can find one that says seed oils are fine. You can find one that says fruits are toxic. You can find one that says fruits are fine. There's all this division right now because people are just picking and choosing whatever they want to back their narrative and stay relevant. And it's just frustrating. I don't need seed oils because there's a lot of processing to them. I don't feel as good when I eat seed oils. I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates because I don't feel as good when I eat carbohydrates. I think people just need to recognize that there's not a one size fits all per se when it comes to nutrition. But then just also learn how to listen to your body, because when you start removing all the heavily processed just filler foods and crap, you feel better. And I don't need a study to tell me that I feel better. So yeah, there's my little rant.
All right. Yes, grass-fed butter, Kerrygold, or Aldi's in the green. Oh, Aldi's in the green foil package. I've not tried Aldi's one. I just went to Aldi's the other day and couldn't find a butter that I could eat there. But maybe some places do have it. I also love the Vital Farms.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Butter as well. It's really good, and it's usually slightly cheaper than Kerrygold.
Maddie says, Robert, congrats on the book. Amazing. Without giving too much, does the ketogenic bodybuilding diet include dairy, or can someone go without and see results? Thank you so much for the congrats on the book. Yeah, you can, does the ketogenic diet include dairy? You can have dairy, and you can also not have dairy. You can do ketogenic with or without dairy, depending on how you personally feel with or without dairy.
Yeah. So is it more satiating when it is real cheese?
Probably simply because a greater percentage of those calories are going to be
actual food,
calories that your body's going to recognize and use.
Fermented dairy is often more tolerable than regular. Interesting.
I don't know too much fermented
dairy.
What about the carbs? If you're carnivore and zero carb? Yeah, I mean, what's the question about the carbs?
Yeah.
You know the question?
No, so I'm saying, if you're carnivore, what about zero carb? If you're carnivore, you are zero carb.
Yeah, what's the question there, Nikki? Megan says, love glass bottle heavy cream at grass-fed. It's pretty yellow and maybe no better, but it makes me so happy. Yeah, everything in glass tastes better too.
Mm-hmm. What do you attribute the issues to that you had when on carnivore? We don't know. I've always had gastric issues. I still have gastric issues. And that will never go away. And they seem to do really well when I have a well-balanced diet. Some vegetables every once in a while, yogurts, meats. I mean, my whole Instagram is full of all the foods that I normally eat, which is crazy because the variety helps my digestion. The strict eating meat does not go well. And I actually tried it with just ground meat. Still did not go well. I have no idea what it is that causes that for me as an individual, but I guess I didn't care enough to look into specifically why, because I think that I'm a very, very rare case.
Yeah. Plus, I think when she's done carnivore, she's done much higher protein too. It's probably
That's not true.
You've done it once with much higher protein.
I did it one time with much higher protein. The other 2 times I did it with higher fat.
Hi, you two. Hope all is well. What's up, Truckology 101? Hope you're doing well, man. I eat Kerrygold like cheese. Yeah, I do too.
Someone else said, interesting, what meat caused you inflammation? I think it's just
Meat in general. Too much meat in general.
And we were doing very high quality. During one of those times, I actually had a coach leading me through it because I thought I was doing something wrong with carnivore, and we chose whole food, not whole food, real good quality meats and grass-fed, grass-finished, all the things, because we wanted to cut out any of the options. So it wasn't like I was eating a low-quality meat or anything. It's just the way my body responds, and that's okay.
What is your coaching good for? I don't think I want to get on stage, but do want to look good naked. So most of my clients are not even competitive athletes that are stepping on stage. They just want to improve their health and their composition. And same is true with all of Crystal's clientele. So just body recomposition for the most part. You don't have to be a competitor by any means.
Yogurt is fermented dairy. Oh, I guess I was thinking cheese.
Yeah, we were definitely talking cheese. I was thinking cheese, but yes, yogurt 100% fermented dairy.
That's funny. Aldi's butter is countryside creamery, pure Irish butter made from grass-fed cows. That's great. I think our Aldi didn't have it, or maybe they did, and I didn't look at the right one.
Great topic. Appreciate the honest discussion and encouraging your followers to eat high-quality foods and eliminate what doesn't work. I can only do butter.
Yes. See, even like that, some people can do like our whey protein that we use in the keto bricks is a 100% grass-fed whey concentrate, and a lot of people will try like a whey isolate and say, I can't have whey, but it's actually the way that the protein is broken down in the difference of those two, that some people can actually have the concentrate versus the isolate. They just need to be able to try it for their individual body.
Got your book today, Robert. Super excited to read it and so very proud of you. Well, thank you so very much. I'm eager to hear what you think about it.
Me too. Can't do just meat. That's interesting.
Brad Lauer, what's up, brother? Good evening. Hope you are well, man.
Interesting. There's another one. The same thing happened to me when I tried to do carnivore. After 2 weeks, my joints were hurting and I felt very inflamed. I did some research and found out there's a thing called oxalate dumping. Oh yeah, we have looked into the oxalate dumping.
Yeah, but I don't know if that would have been her case because she did it for 3 different times, with each of them being at least a month long, and she when people have a lot of oxalates, like she wouldn't really be a good candidate for a lot of oxalates because she doesn't eat a lot of high oxalate foods, and she hasn't in years. So if she had a bunch of stored oxalates from before, over the course of the past 6 years, she probably would have had enough residual dumping for it not to be like this crazy inflamed moment. So I don't think that was her case, but it is interesting for sure.
It made it definitely miserable enough to where I was just like, this is not going to work.
N=1. We are our own experiment. Amen to that.
Sunny backs me up here. She said, I haven't seen a good butter at our Aldi's either. They don't have plain heavy cream either. I know. I looked at that the other day and I was really upset at their heavy cream options and their butter.
Nikki says, this is that question. If you're zero carb carnivore, does the carbs in dairy go against that? Or
that
no,
sense.
because the body digests them and cancels them out? So I would never suggest that anything gets canceled out. Like there's no
fiber,
there's no free lunch per se when it comes to macros or calories or anything like that. It's all going to have an impact. Now there's some people that are carnivore that are like super strict and they only do beef, salt, and water. And there's others that are like much more laid back and they'll have cheese and things like that, and oils and whatnot. So it's just kind of wherever you find yourself on that spectrum.
Histamine sensitivity is also a problem with meats. You know what I find interesting is I eat only slightly less meat on a regular diet. That's what's interesting about it, is I don't eat a ton of vegetables. I don't eat a ton of, what else is there? Nuts or other things. I eat primarily a meat-based diet, so it's really not that different. So it's definitely not the meat that causes any issues for me. It's just the meat only was an issue. And I think a lot of it had to do with my digestion. Because I mean, I was like, I probably look like I do now, but I wasn't pregnant then.
If we have food sensitivities that we don't address, do they become allergies? They can become allergies. It's honestly not my area of expertise because I don't have any food allergies, so I haven't really dug into it personally. I've done a lot of podcasts on it. I don't know, anything to add?
No.
They can, but it's weird because like Crystal got a food sensitivity test, and it was saying that all the things that she consumed regularly were flagged for something that she would be sensitive to. Like we were talking about that this morning.
Yeah, mine wasn't particularly that, but there are some food sensitivity tests that you can take, and it will mark the things that you eat more regularly as something that you're sensitive to because it was simply in your system. So it's very weird. So I would be careful with those tests. Just make sure that you're getting a good one. But I don't know really the true difference between a sensitivity and an allergy. An allergy, your body's overly responding to something, but with a food sensitivity, what's the difference there? Do you know that you're sensitive, or do you not know that maybe you're sensitive, or you may have an allergy to it?
I have found that for myself, heavy whipping cream and butter are great. If I eat lots of cheese, I feel less energy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's interesting. Some people like go to town on cheese. They probably eat way too much cheese. Like most of their calories are coming from cheese. I feel like that would have a downstream negative effect from a digestion standpoint, constipation standpoint.
Arkansas Aldi's sucks. We have several. There's actually one in Springdale, and I think there's one in Rogers, and I think that those ones are actually a lot better than the one we have in Fayetteville.
Thanks. I was just curious. I got flagged on so many things that make sense to me. Yeah, and just because you get flagged for it, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a sensitivity or allergy to it.
Yeah,
that's why you don't want to put so much weight in these sensitivity tests that you feel miserable with your food. Like I did a test one time. It wasn't a food sensitivity test per se. It was like a genetic test with a leaning towards food recommendations. And according to what it suggested, I shouldn't be able to eat any dietary fat hardly at all.
Yeah, and I did like the AIP diet stuff. I cut out all the things that I was sensitive to, and I was more miserable after I cut out all of those things than I was when those things were in my diet. Like I was saying earlier, I was more sensitive to chicken and beef, so I was eating a bunch of turkey, and it was miserable. I was miserable. And once I introduced the turkey and the beef back in, I felt much better. There was just different things. And some of them were actually true. Like some of them I could see that like maybe I was actually having a reaction to them. But the other ones, it was just like, what's the point? I don't even eat half of them anyways. A lot of them were carbs. So I wasn't even eating them anyway. So I just said, screw it.
Yippers. What else we got? Pretty much covered the gamut on dairy and sensitivities and cheese and yogurt. Anything else of worth topic? Was there another question that was submitted last week that we haven't answered? The only bad thing, y'all, about drinking Zevias is that it makes Crystal burp and hiccup like crazy.
I didn't hiccup or burp. I just cleared my throat.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little skeptical.
Why are you so mean? It makes everyone do that. Carbonation. That's what it does.
We getting more questions?
Clearing my throat. Dual fueled? I don't know.
Oh, dual fueled. We can talk about that. How much time we got? It's 20. Let's talk about that for 5 minutes here. What brand is your go-to yogurt? What's that one that we've been getting?
Wallaby.
Wallaby is our go-to
Wallaby
yogurt.
or Stonyfield. I just got this new one I'm kind of curious about.
She's going to look at that. How many days off a week do you take from lifting? Usually 2. Kind of depends, but usually about 2.
So they were out of the Wallaby and the Stonyfield, so I'm going to try this one. It's Icelandic provisions thick and creamy. And it seemed like it was pretty clean. The only problem with yogurt is that it does have carbs in it. So you have to just be careful with how much you're having and make sure that you're getting the unsweetened kind.
Does 2 drops of stevia break your fast? Depends why you're fasting. I would never be on such a strict fast that I would sweat 2 drops of stevia, like me personally.
But also, why are you fasting? And is there a reason you have to have 2 drops?
The price is the negative of Zevia. Some of them, somebody just said they found a whole bunch at a pretty good deal at Sam's
The price
Club.
is the negative?
Yeah, too expensive.
I feel like they're the same price as regular soda, but I have not bought a regular soda in a long time.
Love Stonyfield yogurt. Ever try ratio yogurts? I haven't, but one of my clients is a big fan of them.
Yeah, who is it? Ellen eats those.
We should try it. Faye yogurt is great.
Yeah, but they don't have a whole milk.
It's true. They don't
have a whole milk yogurt, so you have to add like MCT or something to it, which is
15
why I like the whole milk.
grams of fat, 15 grams of protein, and 2 grams of carbs in a ratio yogurt. That's pretty good.
But
Have
aren't
you
those
seen any?
sweetened?
I think they have sweetened ones. What are they sweetened with? Anybody have a ratio yogurt?
That's the only thing with like the Too Good yogurts as well. Those are tasty, but I choose not to buy them regularly because they have added stuff to them and sweetener.
Sprouts usually has buy one get one for sale. We don't have a Sprouts here, unfortunately. I just like the stevia in my coffee to take the taste of the mushroom powder out. Which mushroom powder do you use? We just got some. I think it's sucralose in ratio.
I think that's why I've never bought it. Probably I don't do sucralose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucralose. That's what Keto Greg says too. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of sucralose. I made a poll on this yesterday, and so like artificial I was talking about, I was ranting a little earlier about how there's so much division right now, and artificial sweeteners is yet another topic that there is division around. And I don't know, like I don't think artificial sweeteners have that much of an impact from a caloric standpoint because they are pretty much 0 calorie. However, they don't have a direct impact. Let me say that. I think they could very well have an indirect impact in the sense that they probably are not ideal from a gut microbiome standpoint, so they may hinder the absorption of the calories that you are trying to consume. That's possible, but more so than that, even I feel like people that eat a lot of artificial sweeteners are, on average, less satiated and more likely to overconsume food in general.
Who just burped? Who just burped?
So that's not good.
Rishi is the one that did.
Rishi.
Robert's trying to change the subject.
Kalina and Cocoyo are my faves.
We love Kalina.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's a coconut-based yogurt for anyone who can't have dairy. It's a coconut-based yogurt. It's delicious. It's a little pricey, but it's delicious.
I make my own yogurt. I use 80 Keto recipe. Easy and good. I need to make this. 80 Keto was telling me about this.
What is it?
Homemade yogurt.
Oh,
Agreed.
we actually have a yogurt maker. If Sunny, if you're here, Sunny brought a yogurt maker. I still haven't used it though. So Sunny got a yogurt maker like years and years ago, and then she hadn't used it yet. So she's like, Crystal, you should use this. And I have not used it still, and it's been sitting there for months. So I need to actually use it.
Will Crystal be with you in Las Vegas in October? Will you be with me in Las Vegas in October? Probably.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll be at all the conferences. As far as I know, Arizona Walmart matches Zevia prices for Sprouts. That's pretty good. Artificial sweeteners increase urine output, cause loss of sodium, potassium, etc.
Is it the sweeteners that cause that, or is it the substance that you're consuming? Like if you're drinking more things sweetened with sweeteners, you're gonna just urinate more by default because you're drinking more fluids. There's so many like what comes first, chicken or the egg kind of arguments when it comes to food nutrition. But ladies and gents, that is a wrap on this one. We'll talk about dual fuel next week.
What do you mean by dual fuel?
Basically metabolic flexibility using ketones and carbs, which a lot of people say is an optimal approach Teaser, I don't agree it's an optimal approach.
Teaser.
But
Careful, he'll go into a rant right now.
But we'll talk about that next week. All right, y'all. Love you. Take care. Toodaloo. Ta-ta for now. Adios, amigos.
See ya.
And amigas.
Bye.